Most 60-year-old triathletes, and those who are a bit under, a bit older, still eat like they're 30, and it's wrecking their recovery. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to fuel daily to make sure this doesn't happen, and on race day, so that you can train harder, recover faster, and finish stronger. So here's the problem. Most advice that you see out there on Instagram, in articles, in books, in YouTube, it's all prepared and aimed at younger athletes. And there's some fundamentals that they're overlooking for us older athletes. They're ignoring the fact that we lose muscle mass naturally as we get older, and that most people aren't doing anything to restore that muscle mass. But that's another video coming up next week. It ignores the fact that older athletes need longer to recover. The body just gets less efficient. And the one thing that gets overlooked for the younger and the older age groups is training your gut for race day. Now here's why nutrition matters more after you're 60. We need to maintain muscle mass, so we have to do stuff that's going to help us to do that. We have to protect the muscle that we've got. We have to stop the fact that we're losing it on a regular basis. We can't afford to lose that muscle mass, so we have to eat to maintain it, and we have to train to restore it. We also have to eat to support our recovery. Maybe we need to ditch some of the foods that don't help with that and eat more that do. And of course we have to protect our immune system, because that's the thing that, if it stays strong, enables us to turn up every day and be consistent with our training. And we've already spoken about how important that is. So here are some daily nutrition basics for you. Make sure you're eating protein every meal. I recommend 1.6 to 2 grams per kilo per day for males and females. So if you're 75 kilos, that's 150 grams. And you need to make sure you are eating that every day, because if you miss that nutrition basic at one meal, you're going to have to catch up on the others, or not at all, then you get behind for the next day. It's important to stay hydrated and hydrate consistently so that the body is able to work efficiently. And if you're looking for things to cut out from your diet, don't worry about the whole foods and the fruits and the veggies and the bread. Think about first limiting alcohol, which affects sleep and gut health, refined sugars, which do the same, and ultra processed foods. Now, one thing I haven't talked about yet is carbohydrate timing. And of course, carbohydrates are important for all age groups in order to fuel our training and maintain the immune system. So it's important to fuel smarter around your training. Before you work out, you need a small snack with carbohydrate and protein, about 70 to 80 grams. During the workout, aim for 30 to 60 grams per hour, and don't start an hour or two in. Start straight away. It'll keep you fueled so you get the most out of that workout, but it'll also help with your recovery afterwards and make sure that your daily calorie intake is kept high. And after the workout, make sure you've got that carb and protein meal. And that's especially important if you're training late and you're not going to get home until a bit later, and then you've got to think about going to bed. So think of simple ways to get the carbs and the protein into your body. Now, if you don't train your gut, then on race day, your nutrition will fail. So it's important to train your gut like you train your muscles. Start with 30 grams an hour and build to 60 to 90 grams. It takes time to get to that, but I know the guys at Precision Fuel and Hydration have got some case studies of some athletes who are now able to get 120 grams an hour into their stomach on race day. And that's huge, because the more calories you can get in, the more you're going to be able to maintain that performance, particularly on long races. How you do this is up to you. Everybody's got their favourites, but mixing fluids and solids is usually a fairly good starting point. Don't forget that the solids take longer to digest, so maybe you put those earlier in the bike and you have the fluids and the gels and whatnot later on in your race. And the best place to do this is to practice in long sessions, but also in some shorter but more intense races. So if you're doing a full Ironman, practice it in a half Ironman and focus just on your nutrition for that day. Now, when it comes to race day nutrition, One mistake that nearly every athlete, but particularly over 60s athletes, make is they don't fuel the bike properly. I'll come to that in a moment. Swimming, you obviously can't get any hydration or nutrition in, so best to take a little bit before you start. Make sure you're hydrated before you jump into the water and have a small carb snack. Then on the bike, it's your main fueling window. In any distance triathlon, it's going to be the longest portion of your race. And because you are sitting on the bike, your stomach's not joggling around, so it's easier to digest the food. So you need to take your carbs in every 15 to 20 minutes. And as I said, you should have been practicing that in training to get your stomach used to dealing with 60 to 90 grams. And then once you get onto the run, again, it's a bit of trial and error, but I think little and often, and keep it really simple. A little squirt out of a gel bottle, some Coca-Cola on the aid stations, maybe a little squirt out of a quart of orange, just to get a few extra calories in, but keep it going in little and often. And make it really simple so that your stomach can tolerate that. Now, here are some of the common mistakes that athletes are making during their training. I've already made reference to them, but the three big ones are they're not eating enough protein, which, as we know, limits the maintenance of muscle mass and recovery. They're consuming too many sugary products and ultra-processed foods. And I know that you think that you can get away with this if you are burning calories, but it's not a question of how you look and how much body fat you've got around your stomach. It's a question of what it's doing to your gut and to your insulin system. Okay, so think about the amount of sugar you're consuming, maybe not when you're on the bike, but when you're not on the bike. And not practicing that fueling in training. So anything else, if you don't practice it in training, it's really difficult to do it well on race day. Now, if you get all this right, the payoff is huge for this. And all of that training that often seems to let you down on race day, and quite often because you've got the nutrition wrong, can suddenly pay big dividends when you do get the nutrition right. So the mantra here is if you eat smart, you're going to race strong, because you'll have steady energy. You'll have faster recovery at those points during the race when you can, maybe descending on the bike, etc. And you'll have a stronger finish. You won't be fading and struggling to keep your pace going. You'll be finishing, and that will give you confidence because you'll be overtaking those other athletes. So think about that. So next week, we're going to cover strength and mobility. And that's huge as well for maintaining performance and building resilience. It's the secret weapon for us older athletes. I can guarantee that. So please don't miss that one. To make sure you don't miss any other videos, or you can want to watch some of the ones I've already done, please subscribe for Ironman tips after 60 and lots of other stuff. Don't forget to comment below and tell me what's your go-to fuel on race day. And there's also a link below in the video description to get those 5 sweet spot sessions. So hopefully you can pick that up as well. I look forward to seeing you next week when we talk about strength and mobility for triathlon.